So-called Christians like Sarah Huckabee Sanders and her father, Mike Huckabee, don't believe in being good stewards of the earth, especially when it comes to things like climate change. That's why they're opposed to things like the Green New Deal. They're opposed to any sort of legislation on actually combating climate change and making sure the world does not get polluted. Now, that's unfortunate because right now we've got about 12 years left to reduce the levels of carbon in the atmosphere before climate change becomes both worse and basically irreversible, which is why progressives like AOC and a lot of the new progressives that are running for 2020 or might run for 2020, especially some of the new and as well as some of the new members of Congress that are, progressive. That's why they're pushing for the Green New Deal. That would actually transform our economy from a fossil fuel driven economy to a clean alternative energy based economy, which would be great for everybody. Again, it would create millions of high paying, great jobs and actually clean up the environment. What's not to like? Well, if you're a fossil fuel company, or apparently Sarah Huckabee Sanders, there's a lot to dislike. Now, Sarah, in a recent Fox News interview with Sean Hannity, basically said, look, I don't believe in that report. I don't believe that anything bad's going to happen. Let's just keep burning fossil fuels. Let's burn coal. Let's, pump oil, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, actually, quote, I don't think we're going to listen to her on much of anything, particularly anything that we will leave into the hands of a much, much higher authority, and certainly not listen to the freshman congresswoman on when the world may end. Now, look, let's be honest. The world is not going to end, but that doesn't mean that the world will be hospitable for human life. That's sort of the problem with climate change. When you change the climate so rapidly, you make it so that we are unable to adapt to those changes. And when things can't adapt, well, what do? They die off. May not be the end of the world, but it could be the end of us. So, but no, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is convinced that, oh, it's okay, Jesus will save us. I love that. And look, I love how derisive she is of people like AOC, while she's also showing at the same time her deep ignorance. And it's not just AOC that says that, by the way, it's the Trump administration. They have their own report that is very damning when it comes to climate change. And not only that, but you have the IPCC. That report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was sourced from hundreds of climate scientists. Those scientists all agree that, hey, maybe we need to do something about this or we're screwed. And Huck's response is, oh, Jesus will save us. We don't have to worry about that. We can just do whatever we want because we're like children and we don't understand consequences. Now, AOC, of course, responded to this because she is master of the clapback with her own Bible verses. She quoted Genesis 2. She said, God commands all people to serve and protect creation, right? And also quotes Leviticus. Now, not the hateful parts of Leviticus, which there are plenty, but she also quoted that God mandates that not only the people, but the land that sustain them shall be respected. Huh. And in a follow-up tweet, she told Sanders that she, quote, shouldn't need a Bible to tell you to protect our planet, but it does anyway. Now, I want to give you the source of her quote here. This is from Relevant Magazine, right? Now, Relevant Magazine basically makes the claim that climate change activism can be biblically based. And sure, in fact, they said, hold on, actually, I don't have the quote here, but that's okay. So, again, I know a lot of you are thinking, yeah, but the Bible has nothing to do with government. I agree with that. We shouldn't have to quote the Bible in order to get politicians and people in power to actually give a crap about, caring about the environment. Nonetheless, apparently we have to, right? I'm an atheist, so I think it's absolutely absurd that we have to have this conversation. But again, you have a bunch of religious zealots who are basically like children, right? And they're in power, and, well, they think that, oh no, we can just mess up the earth no matter what we want, and our sky god will come down and save us. Well, that's not going to happen. And in the Bible even says that's not going to happen You need to take care of your own mess and actually respect the world, respect the earth, respect creation. Because, think about it, right? It doesn't take a biblical scholar to realize that we shouldn't be messing up the earth with our pollution. I mean, look, does she actually believe that God, and I'm not saying he exists, I agree, I believe the opposite. But if he or she or it did, then would you think that they would look at what we've done to the planet and think, oh no, those humans are doing fine. In fact, oh, look, they messed this up. Now we're going to go and save them. My guess is no. Probably not. If there's a God, she's probably pissed at humanity, especially the latest crop of politicians a la Trump and the Trump administration for basically how we've been treating the environment. Whoever they are, if they exist, has got to be pissed. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.